I was pregnant recently, okay? I gave birth 1 year ago. And my business was 1.5 years old. And I was like, what am I going to do now? And because it's not just to support your kid, you have employees to support. And the business was break even at the point. It was like, okay, so it's unfair. I was feeling that, and I was saying that it's unfair because I have to stop everything I'm doing to give birth.
Are we moving into a different world where, women play a more contributing role? We're moving out of this, more primitive that, as you mentioned, the patriarchy, where dominance and brute force was more important than now strategy and mind.
It's only recently that women got out from the house, and we have this struggle to balance, we can say that, because there is no word as balance. Everything, being moms, wives, women in work, have teams, and how we feel and we do things are so much different than men. VCs, business angels, and fundings that they are from women to women.
I must be honest, I disagree with that approach. Yeah. I'll tell you why. Because it's got to be merit-based.
On Sunday and on Thursday, I was at the client's photo shoot with the baby.
Welcome to the Financial Frontiers podcast. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that bell icon to get notified when we upload new content. Follow us on Spotify and give us a 5-star rating. It will help the channel, which I hope you love so much. Here we are, another Financial Frontiers podcast. This is a special kind of edition. It's a Women's Day special, so even though we're recording it rather a few days before. My team has suggested that we do a Women's Day special, and they found you.
Team.
Yeah, they're advising me. So they found you, Electra Demetriou. We happen to have common people within the network that I deal with. And just generally, the Financial Frontiers podcast is expanding a little bit on the topics, all based on finance, but speaking to more entrepreneurs and software developers, the pharmaceutical industry or whatever industry, right? Leaders. In the field, maybe, in the government or whatever, but I'm expanding a little bit, and we're going to be speaking generally about finance. In this episode, you are our guest for the Women's Day special, and also you're an entrepreneur yourself, Electra Demetriou.
Yeah, Demetriou.
Please introduce yourself. Happy to have you here on the podcast. Thank you for coming through. Let's move that cup that side so we keep the focus on the woman of the Financial Frontiers podcast. Go.
So thank you so much, Dinos and the team who invited me. It's an honor to me to represent women in this podcast. So yeah, Electra Demetriou, correct? Is that correct? Okay.
Fix the...
No, it's okay. I'm a business owner myself, entrepreneur, if you want to call it that. I'm the owner of BeePossible. BeePossible started with the business consulting, which is my expertise, and we expanded in marketing. To introduce myself more, what would you like to ask me?
Okay, let's go. Let's start with...
I forgot that I'm a mom, since we're talking about Women's Day. I always forget that in business talk. I'm a mom of 2 kids, 1 7 and 1 years old. And yeah.
Great. Yeah, the kids are, for many, I think, the main reason we do this. There's a lot of talk about kids. There's a lot of talk about moms. There's a lot of talk about, since this is a Women's Day special, the role of the female, and how important you guys have been dealt the unfair card from nature of having to bring up the child in your womb, whatever it is, and on behalf of men, thank you.
Oh.
For that. I also have 2 kids.
I don't know if I've ever heard that. Thank you for bearing the...
Well, thank you. I mean...
Sorry. I think that's the first time that I'm hearing that.
Great. Yeah, there's these things where... I think this applies just generally in life, right? Where don't take anything for granted or as a given, even though it is the way it is. I think a thank you goes a very long way, and even though you don't have an option, we still say thank you anyway.
It's I'm as I grow older, I understand the different ways that women and men are, and how we not behave, but how we are as human beings, as beings, and that each gender has its own lifts to take. It was just recently that I was talking with my brother, and I could really understand his way to provide for his family. Even though I am working from very, very young age, that I have never had that. I had to provide for myself and my family but I didn't have that. And on the other hand, the woman, we have the different, it's only recently that women got out from the house, and we have this struggle to balance, we can say that, because there is no word as balance, everything, being moms, wives, women in work, have teams, and how we feel and we do things are so much different than men. So how we are in this business world, how we act, and how the environment reacts and perceives how we react, because they were not used to have emotions in the business talks or in the environment and all this. So only recently, while I have grown up, I see, okay, it's different, and there is a timing that you say it's different. Which one is bad and which one is good? And it's not bad or good. It's just different. And only when we understand that, and we not just understand, but also give the environment for each different person to flourish and gender to flourish, that's when we get the best out of it.
100%. I agree with that, and I see this with my wife and me, and just generally, right? As the thought process, and this is, we're generalizing quite a lot, but generally speaking, women, in my view, analyze things so much, right? They factor in so many different things, and emotions is part of it and whatever, while men, it's just, in many cases, it's just binary. Go,
it's
do.
Flat.
Yeah, just binary. Yes, no, go.
Yes, and it's not just like we analyze so much, as you said, and we feel so much. It's not just we analyze, we internalize everything. We feel, okay, for him or for her to say that, maybe she felt like that. What have I done to feel for him or her to feel like that? How have I supported them or no? And there are feelings involved. It's just not analyze them. There are feelings, and there are big feelings. As I say to my child, my older one, big feelings, and you might analyze something for the whole weekend for something that someone will not even remember on Monday.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah. 100%. Yes. It's that. Agreed. And as you said, there's no right or wrong. Like in many of these examples that I've seen in my life, where I've discussed, I discuss my thought process on how I came about, and then I discuss that with, let's say, women generally, my wife mostly, and she tells me, did you think about that? Did you think about this? I'm like, and then when she brings it up that way, I'm like, no, I didn't. Maybe I should have. but there's no right or wrong, because I feel the process, at least, and I'll speak about myself, that I follow is there's speed in execution in that way. If you if you get stuck, many times, if you're going to overanalyze something, there's so many different parameters in life that you just cannot control. And if you keep thinking, you're going down that path, that what if this and what if that. And
I think this is a personality trait. It's different. The analyzing that we are doing and the overthinking is different from the ability to make fast decisions. At least for me, okay, because I have this trait. I take decisions very, very fast, and but it doesn't stop me from analyzing things. So right. I think it's a different trait but it has, the analyzing is not, is more about things that happen and not things that I don't know how to explain that actually. No,
I get it. It's it's just this fine balance, right, where this comes with experience, where in your thought process, when you analyze all of these things, you do it in a fast way because you found the key metrics to consider when you're making that decision. Whereas a different approach, and again, we're generalizing, but I think, this doesn't apply to all men or all women, but, just generalizing. And it doesn't have to be between men and women. I think just generally speaking, in terms of how one approaches a challenge or a business decision, one is carefully analyzing. Of course, you want to make sure that you've considered all risks and you make the right decisions. But then, on the flip side, there's that underlying thing: if you don't try, you don't know, right? And it's finding that right balance. Is if you keep making wrong decisions and you're like, you can only smash through so many walls until you cannot go through anymore. And then there's also over analyzing and then staying stagnant, which is also not good. So it's just that fine balance between moving fast enough and then avoiding the big hits, and I guess in a world where women and men both contribute in the expansion of a business or the decisions of a household or, the running of a country, the politics. In a way, these two mindsets or approaches that come from, male and female, men, women, is a good combination to strike that balance, right? And so I did a bit of history. I never knew some of these statistics. So when Women's Day started and why. And so if I've got the dates right, it's obviously 8th of March is Women's Day. And in 1914 is when it started. So in the US, it started from the US. And it came because of major inequalities. And I didn't even know this. So women were not even allowed to vote.
It's only recent in the last 50 years that many countries the women didn't have the right to vote.
Crazy. I found that so crazy.
So the Women's Day was established even before that, before some women had the right to vote.
Yeah. So some countries followed suit. So it started from the US. Then some lady suggested it at some international convention that we make it an official thing. Some countries actually have it as a public holiday, Women's Day. Yeah. So it's Women's Day, public holiday, no work.
Where is that?
If I recall correctly, it was Cambodia was one of them.
Really?
Yeah. Some countries, people can look it up. And and then I asked some statistics, just to know. So if I said, out of how many, how many world women leaders are there in the world? There are 26 out of 195 countries, which I find interesting. There's also the billionaire. I asked how many billionaires are there in the world, and there are around 3,000, let's say. And out of those, 369 are women. So I asked the question, out of those 370, say, women, how many are self-made? Because that's an important question. If it's inherited, it doesn't give insight on the reason I'm asking the question. Because when we talk about Women's Day and the inequality, right? It's the whole reason why Women's Day exists is inequality on pay, on whatever. And that's a whole massive debate on why that exists and how we can change that, right?
And that's when, before I ask you for what age did they made it, because it's in the first, under 35 years old, is it there or is it after? Because we have seen that many women that made it into leadership and entrepreneurs, etc., they have made it after 35, after 40. Now it's started to getting a little bit lower because women get pregnant later. Before that it was around 30 years old, the average. Now it's 33, 4, so it goes higher. So it's interesting to see when that happened, when that leap. So
I didn't ask about the age. What is the age distribution, and how does that compare to male? But what I found interesting was the self-made billionaires, women billionaires, account to around 35% of the total billionaires of women.
Yes.
And then out of the total billionaires of men, which are around 2,800, 1,800 of those of the men are self-made.
1,800.
So it's a much bigger percentage, right? And this is inheritance, right? So the other who made it on their own and who inherited the billions, which is, these statistics are interesting, and I guess give some insight to something else which I cannot exactly pinpoint or articulate, but there's got to be some kind of a reason around that. And then there's these talks about around male and men and women, the father and the mother, when you're speaking to your child, the deep voice that men have take a bigger have a bigger impact on the person listening. It has as opposed to the softer woman's voice. And does that maybe mean we live in a world where dominance is important? I don't know. And is dominance a feature that men are stronger at versus women? This is a deep discussion. So
actually, maybe it's the first time I'm thinking about it. We tend to listen more in someone with a deeper voice, more control on emotions, on feelings, on how we say things. But I think also that this now changes. The new generation, they are looking to more soft attributes, more soft, more gentle way of work.
Because the world's changing, right? The world's changing because Women's Day is a very recent thing. That has obviously something that came about as a need based off of the history.
To balance things out.
Yes.
Look, in that one is, I think we had the patriarchy and then dominance and blah, 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 that it was, let's say, okay, it's still there, but it's not booming, or it's not welcoming, and it's not accepted as it used to be. And now we are going into the other side. So we haven't found the balance, I think, in between the two. So it's either we criticize the more dominant, the more patriarchy, and then we're going into very soft attributes. And we see that the new generation, they are not willing to make tough decisions, but to get a bit dirty, their hands dirty. Yeah. So it's more soft, it's more, let's be careful and other. And so I don't believe that we have found the balance between the two words, but we need to accept the two words and support them in different ways, right? And regarding your question before, for women, yes, if I was pregnant recently, okay, I gave birth 1 year ago, and my business was 1.5 years old, and I was like, how, why, what am I gonna do now? And how, because it's not just to support your kid, you have employees to support, and the business was break even at the point. So it was like, okay, so it's unfair. I was feeling that, and I was saying that it's unfair because I have to stop everything I'm doing to give birth and be a mother again. And you are a mother, but in the beginning, in the very, very first years, your child needs you more.
Then 100%.
Actually, you need to go through the birth itself, the breastfeeding and everything. And I'll say, this is unfair because I am business owner myself, and I have people to take care of. And it's not just employees, it was my clients also. How am I going to support them if I'm not there? And actually, I didn't take one. I gave birth on Sunday, and on Thursday I was at the client's photo shoot with the baby. I left the hospital on Thursday morning, and I went straight to a photo shoot of a client. And I didn't take any maternity leave because there are not fundings, because what am I going to do with 800 euros? And for the women business owners, because it's not just I'm in the workforce, but I'm employer. And if I'm not working, especially in the very first years of the business, how am I going to support the business? How am I going to support the employees? So it was a choice. Do I pause my business, and what do I say to my employees and clients? Or do I go back? I don't take a maternity leave. I don't take any of the fundings because I wasn't allowed of the fundings. And I continue what I'm doing. I'm doing both of them.
I take my hat off, and it's you're a good example because you have your own business to run.
I'm a bad example, actually.
Why?
Because this is not the way that it should be. A mother should be able to take at least the 4 months that we have in Cyprus, at least the 4 months, and take a break and be with your baby. I couldn't do that because as an employee of my business, I could take the 4 days off, but as a business owner, I couldn't do that.
Right. Because
with the 800 euros, I couldn't support my business.
Yeah.
It was at break-even point. So what I was bringing in the business, it was crucial. It was important. So I couldn't take that revenue out of my business to be home.
Yeah, so I'm saying you're a good example for the struggles that exist, but I guess when you say bad example, is you're saying that's not the way it should be.
Yes.
Right? And what is the solution? So we can't take away the fact that it biologically it is the mother, it's the female that needs to do that, and also naturally I think for the baby, right, the baby needs to feel the mother's touch closer, and I think the fact that Women's Day exists is good. It's
good, but we need to make things. It's not just the day that I will get a box of flowers, a chocolate, or a gift. It's a day that actually all of us should do something for that. It's a commercial day nowadays.
Yeah, they use it.
Exactly, like everything else. It started with a reason and deeper reason. Everything now is it's commercial. Yeah. What campaigns all the business will do, what promos will do, what offers they will do, how the restaurants will be full, how the flower shops will sell out, and this is it. And I was in Brussels in December for women entrepreneurs in the European Commission, and we were talking about women, blah blah blah. And one of the women that we went together, she said, "I'm a mom. I'm a single mom, and you invited me to come here." Okay, to listen to everything that Europe is doing for women, but you didn't think that I'm a single mom. I don't have nowhere to leave my child to, and even in this space that you have, so I mean the premises are big, the money are here. You don't have a playground or a nanny or someone to take care of my baby while I'm supporting Europe and other businesses. So if Europe is not doing it, if the government doesn't do it, who's going to do it?
Interesting. And then so there's that also mean there are also single dads, right? There are also single fathers who would have the same problem. But I think there are these, let's call it challenges, these unfair situations or circumstances that it's good to discuss, and if Women's Day has been commercialized in a certain way, I think, and in some way this is what's happening at Financial Frontiers. We're using it as a topic of discussion, but I think in this conversation we're also highlighting the original reason why it came about, right? We're discussing these points. So best of both worlds, right? So but let's talk about now Electra, right? Let's get into what your experience is, where you worked before, because we started out with you introducing yourself and you told me to ask you some questions. So here goes. So you obviously have now BeePossible, which is a great name because anything's possible if you're able to grow a business that is at break even and have a newborn child, and anything's possible. So congratulations on that. Before that, let's go back. What is it? What is your profession? How did you come about being a business consultant?
Okay, so as the 1/5 of Cypriot teenagers, when they want to decide what to study, I went with economics. I studied economics, and I transferred for business and economics in Birmingham, and then I wanted to be more in the business, but in the entrepreneurship and strategy. So I did my master's in entrepreneurship, international business strategy. I worked in the UK for some time, and then I came back to Cyprus. I worked for a consulting firm in Limassol, and then I went to PwC. I was there for 2 years. And then I always wanted to do something on my own. I was feeling that. And I was feeling that the consulting firms are not weighing the marketing factor in the projects that they were doing and everything. So I was combining like the two of them. After I finished, actually, when the day I stopped from, I quit from PwC, then very next morning I found out that I was pregnant. The next day. So
and this was your first child, obviously.
Yeah, and I stayed home because I had a very difficult pregnancy. For 9 months, I gave birth, and then I stayed for another 3 months, and I said, okay, I need to go out. I cannot do that anymore. I rented a professional office for just me without having a clue what I will do. Nothing. So I remember it was an office like this, a serviced office, and I had a board, and I was writing all the business ideas that I had. Okay, what should I do with that? What should I do? But I remember that I was talking with people, and I always like to help them. And I have, hopefully I still have, an understanding of more layers than the surface, so I could understand more factors. And I was like, okay, maybe if you do that, and then I was combining my accounting experience and expertise and knowledge from charter accounting and PwC. I was combining some things, etc. And I started, I told you about the e-shop. And I had the e-shop for several years.
What was the e-shop selling?
It was outlet, and it was apparel, clothes, accessories, shoes. We started with in day one with 2,000 pieces, which it was good for a launch inventory, and I was there for I was having that etc. for 3 years, but in the second year I went to a business that they were doing. It is the biggest B2B importer in Cyprus and Greece.
Which one is that?
The name of the London Bros. I was there for almost a year. I was digital and B2B digital and strategist director, and I saw, okay, I like this. I like the fact that I was doing the strategy, the expansion of the company, and it was very traditional, and we're getting the marketing in, etc. So I like that. I had the I like to have 100 people. It was 100 people, so I like to work with big teams. So I understood what I liked. I like to to be more flexible, but also have a team and have the impact on the strategy of a business.
So wait, this was while you had your online shop and you were working with another company that had these employees, and you were working with their teams.
Yes,
okay.
So it was at the same time. So it was hard to...
So you're working your full-time job and also doing this side project.
But it was in the... I would be flexible. They knew it. It was the reason they approached me. I had the e-commerce and then digital expertise. Mm-hmm. So that's why they approached me in the first place. So it was, I asked for a flexible environment, and I told them I would be working on both subjects on the projects on the same time. I was there for a year. And then I left, and 1 year later, actually I left, and I started to be freelancer for business consulting. And after 1 year, I sold the shop. Yeah. So in the strategy, as I told you, I was only doing the strategy thing for 1.5 years, a little bit more, and the marketing came later. Marketing came later in the business, and yeah.
What is it? What is the name of the company? Strategizer. Strategizer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Strategizer is the founders of Business Canvas. Many people use it now instead of the business plan. It's more flexible, and I'm one of the trainers for Innovation Sprint. So it's a program that runs for 12 weeks, and you go usually into big companies and traditional companies, as we call them, dinosaurs, and we try to make them fresh and have new ideas and use them and utilize that. But in Cyprus, I don't think that many. They tried some banks to do it, but not very successfully. But there are some. I know some, or very few in companies that they still do it, and it's how to get a company to be innovative and competitive with the new startups that they are coming. How can I not acquire actually, but how can an established business get fresh ideas and new ideas?
So digitization and I guess other...
No, it's not just the digitalization. It's how can I work innovative, even in a traditional setting. How can I take faster decisions? How can I move faster? How can I understand the new generation, the new wave of clients?
Understood. Mm-hmm. So not so much digitalization, but I guess that does in an indirect way play a role, because to understand today's world, moving a dinosaur, as you put it, based business, you need to understand how the digital world has impacted everything.
I think we moved from the digitalization to the feelings world. Even in marketing, it's not about campaigns. It's not about how my product is better, how can I serve you better, because it was how my product is better. But we moved from there, and now we are in a feelings world. And that's why businesses do experience events, and they do about feelings, and they do about community, and it's all about community and who I am in this world. And we see that people are willing to buy something less good if the values are there.
Right.
So even for that, it's not how to be the digitalization and the Gen Z or whatever is what is my footprint in this world, and how am I supporting the community. And we can see it in many marketing aspects. For example, the events. Now it's not about events. It's about experience.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you mentioned you started this online shop with apparel and clothing and accessories, and I tried something similar. Didn't go well, but
it's a tough market.
I had so many challenges, and just like you had with working a full-time job and then trying to make this thing work. I just never got to the point where I launched. I put a lot of hours that I didn't have into trying to figure out how to do this. It was a drop shipping model. Trying to figure out, no capital. It was bootstrapped, everything. Didn't have a capital to outlay to purchase any stock or whatever. I found a manufacturer in China. The idea was to do a for 10euro.com. So that was the domain for 10 euro.
Did you launch it? No.
So it was live, but I never marketed it, and didn't get any business. And I was live, kind of. I was too scared to press the marketing button because there was a lot of logistics that was still vague, and I didn't have a solution for. So so many different challenges, and I think I'll speak about these challenges here, because I think that's also useful just generally, for people who are looking to start out. The challenges that I had, and this was more than 10 years ago. It was Shopify. So there are many stores. Did you have Shopify?
Yeah.
Shopify.
I love Shopify.
Yeah. They make it this plug and play business, but there's a lot of things you need to consider. So the concept was for €10, every single item in the store, €10. Yeah. Everything, shoes, whatever, jewelry, clothing, top, blouses, swimsuit, whatever. And I targeted women only, which is perfect, in terms of our theme here. Women's Day, I was targeting women. And found a manufacturer in China. I needed to think about, what if this supplier is not able to send to me anymore? What happens then? I was thinking of all these different things. I got their massive list of items, thousands of items, and I needed to figure out a way to filter that with items that were less than a certain amount so that it can be profitable. I needed to figure out shipping, how to do a bulk order, and get that distributed across hopefully a minimum amount of orders that came through from my site, and then load that into Shopify with all the pictures and make sure that those loaded correctly. All of these different challenges which I was trying to figure out. Me coming from an IT background, that was kind of okay for me. It was challenging because different platforms, different Excel files, different the APIs weren't integrated. But once I got to that point, there were still things that were not even solved yet. Then I had the challenge of how, the marketing, right? So how do I get people to the site, and would they be happy with it, the actual quality of the product, all of these things. And it just kind of slowed down, and I didn't continue. I had other projects that started, but I'd be very interested to know, how did you get it live with those 2,000? Because you mentioned about that you had 2,500 items that were available, but then how did you get, what was the revenues like, and did you get traffic from day one, and was it something that you needed to, how did that go? What could you, so here's my question, let me give you my question clearer, more targeted. What would you have advised me 10 years ago to make for €10 successful?
To not be afraid to market it, because even for me, it was very hard to put myself out there, and it was marketing and ads sell, but up to a point. If you don't, for example, you're doing the podcast. Why are you doing the podcast? Why you put a face in the name in the business name? People trust people.
Yes.
And this is what I was wrong. What I did wrong. I got in the game of putting myself out there late.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I'm trying not to do now. It's not just BeePossible, because it's me who are calling for podcasts. It's me who are calling for interviews. Is because, and I will be very happy to call other team members also, because it means they made a good job in exposing themselves. But to expose yourself, it has a risk. It has not just risk. It's a fear. Well, for example, for today, I told you it's gonna be in English. I do speak in English. I have clients that we regularly speak in English, but having a podcast or interview in English is, what if I make a mistake? What if so going back to your question, is market it, okay, but it was drop shipping, so it was a bit different than a normal e-shop. But again, you the marketing, and also hire someone who knows how to do the things that you don't know.
Yeah. Hiring means you got to pay that salary, so everything that even here, DGM Tech Solutions, I was doing everything. I didn't hire a single person.
I know. I know. Believe me, I was even doing deliveries to save that €3 from the shipping. I was doing that. I mean,
Yes.
That's
how it goes.
Yes, because I know what it means to wear different hats. For the e-shop, I had obviously the marketing agency that was helping me, etc. But I was the photographer, I was the videographer, I was uploading the products, the descriptions, I was a copywriter, everything. And I was renting a warehouse because I had the stock. So I had to have the space for the
There are other challenges there.
Yeah. So the first thing, it was the marketing, but marketing in the way that people need, not what we think that people need, and hire someone who even if it means to lose some money now. But if it's it always goes down to, is this my future? Is this my career? Is this something that I want to invest in? And if it is, you're going to invest the time and the money, and you will find the money and the time, because you founded your own business. You know how much money you put in until it was to a point where you didn't have to put money in. It's not just and back then you made the decision. I'm going to invest in it. I'm going to rent a place. I'm going to buy this software. I'm going to buy these new assets, etc., etc. I'm going to invest in people and in which level of their career and experience they will be. So you invest. You just decide what is worth to invest in.
Right. So you touched on another point there, which I can give my feedback around, where you said, you were a bit afraid of coming in and speaking English or whatever, and you mentioned that you got to consider a lot of things. You got to think about, what if somebody says this or whatever. Here's the answer for that. I'll take the approach. No one on earth knows everything about everything.
Yes.
Nobody. So, if people who want to judge, feel free to judge. I promise you, for me, it's not going to be any that will cause zero impact in my progression in what I need to do. And I don't know how that has come about. I don't know, because there's a fine line between being confident, right, and delusion, right? You got to listen to the feedback, but you got to know how to just brush away that. And also, it's people. Sometimes people this perspective when there is really valuable critical feedback that can help them, they take it wrong. You've got to have this level of I'm not really concerned about getting embarrassed. I don't know how else to put it. I'm doing whatever I need to do in all the domains of my life, and I'm doing the best that I can. And this is what it is. It is what it is. And I get better every day, and I try and improve myself every day. If you're going to judge me on that, great. If you want to, you do you. You want to judge me on that, do. What are you doing for yourself? It doesn't really matter. I'm not judging you, And at the end of the day is just be a kind person. Be good, do things that help generally. You've got a business, you pay people, employees, you create an environment that people come to that they're happy for. I'm happy to discuss all the failures of, I'm not going to swear, but I was going to say F-ups, right? that I've done, because I wear them like a badge of honor. I'm proud of them. I'm super proud of them. And not everybody sees life that way. They're embarrassed about their mistakes.
It's a culture thing, because if you go, it's something I think that we haven't accepted yet in Cyprus. We want to, we want the polished version of someone. And hopefully the new generation will change that. But I was thinking, okay, it's in English. I am okay in English. I speak and I write regularly in English. My whole life, I was working in businesses that they were only dealing with.
You were in the UK?
Yeah, I studied, and I said, you know what? If someone is gonna judge me,
it's fine.
It's fine. And if I understood that the growth comes from pushing your comfort zone.
Yes.
So and you know, maybe now it's easier for me because I come from a place that I have done some things and I have succeeded in some things.
Yes.
So it might
does help.
Yeah, it does help. So but I wish I was wiser 10 years ago or someone told me, yeah, it's okay, make mistakes. Yeah. Make as many mistakes as you can. Yeah. But I remember in the consulting firm that I was working, one of the owners said, who I admire, and he said, if I hear someone speaks English not good enough, I lose the respect I have for him. And that's sticking in my mind. I said, really? And it took me 10 years to say,
no, that doesn't make sense.
It comes from your limitations.
Exactly.
Not my limitations.
Exactly.
Yes.
100%.
If I make mistakes, it's okay. I'm out there. I'm trying. Because it's what you said before. Nobody in this world knows everything, even not about everything, even what they are doing.
In their own profession.
Yes. Yeah. And even if you are expert, you are always learning. And I was thinking in the first year, okay, I'm learning how to build this. And then I say, okay, what's my goal for this year? To get better. Okay, and this year, get better. And I say, okay, this is a non-stopping thing.
Yeah, it never stops.
Never stops thinking. And it's in the moment you say, I am perfect at this, you lose the game. Yeah.
That's where your decline starts.
Yes. And actually growth is out of your comfort zone.
Yeah. So, you know, for me, the for €10 story, in comparison to, you know, your store that you started, I think if I had to try that again now, I'm not saying that I'll be successful or not, but there's definitely a lot of lessons that I've learned, and there's more. So what you said before, right? When you have got successes under your belt, when you've got those successes, it helps when it comes to the point where, you know, when you're discussing something, where you're putting yourself out there, that doubt is mitigated by your successes, which helps a lot in someone's confidence in their approach to anything. Because I can for sure say, before some of these successes that I've had, in days, you know, when I was trying this for 10-year-olds, I tried a different business. I tried many different businesses that just didn't work. It is a real challenge when you're speaking to people who you almost admire, like you look up to, and they say these things that make you doubt yourself. And I think, you know, again, about our theme, maybe that happens to women a lot more often, I don't know, because of the setup, right? And we were speaking about statistics before. We didn't get into the details of the statistics, and I just wanted to touch on to a concluding point on that, and we're kind of getting into it now. It is a real challenge to avoid doubting yourself if you don't have those successes, because you need that day to come, and you might be on the exact right path. You're doing things right, but things haven't worked out for you yet. And then when you start doubting yourself, it's a slippery slope. So you just keep true to yourself. Keep rechecking yourself. It's fine. Listen to the feedback and don't take it too hard, too much. Just take everything, almost everything, with a pinch of salt, and just analyze everything. Be cool, you know. And just stay calm with the fact that as long as you try, one day things will happen, and then from there things get better. And so with the statistics, right? It's just something that I want to understand. Why is it that those percentages are just so low compared to men? Is it this that we're moving into a different era? We did touch on this before. So are we moving into a different world where, women play a more contributing role? We're moving out of this, more primitive, that, as you mentioned, the patriarchy, where dominance and brute force was more important than now. Strategy and mind, games, or not games, but I mean the game is different. The world is changing. And, do we see a world where in 1,000 years the statistics change? And so
it does change. Actually, we see the people that graduate and from universities, let's say, in good graduates in general, women are more than men.
Yeah,
and
on the educational.
Yeah, and in hiring people, the women are more successful in getting their first job than men. So that will change in I don't know, in the leadership roles, if that will change as fast as in the lower roles, but it does change.
Mm-hmm.
And but you know what? For example, I was telling you before, from all the startups that they have secured a VC funding, 2.3% was from women.
Women getting the funding.
Yeah. On the other hand, we need to ask ourselves how many of these were applied by women founders.
Oh yes.
Yeah, but there are some for now. I have seen in different entrepreneurial settings and environments and competition, etc., that there are VCs, business angels, and fundings that they are from women to women. So they try to mitigate that by creating. They try to minimize the gap by creating these bodies, but I don't know in the future if it's going to be discrimination to men. I
must be honest, I disagree with that approach.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah, please.
Because it's got to be merit-based. It's got to be merit-based. So when we talk about these statistics, I'm not by any means saying that, that those play out to, correctly, in terms of, that only 10% of the world's billionaires are women, 300 and whatever out of the 3,000. I think it should be higher, because I do believe that it would be wrong for me to say women are more capable. That would be almost patronizing. Well, I don't know what word to use, but it's that inequality doesn't make sense to me. But to have a focus group that says, I'm going to invest only in women, for me, misses the mark, where it's got to be based on merit. If you're focusing just on women, sure, you're going to find women, but now you're targeting on, let's say, half the workforce, half the potential. And so if the agenda there is just to uplift that category, okay, that makes sense. But if you're a VC aiming at finding the best founders, the best entrepreneurs out there, and you're focusing only on women, but your main goal is to create successful ventures, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it discriminate the basis to not to face the discrimination by creating a different discrimination.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they are trying to, because there is the perception that actually VCs are funding men.
It's true. Yeah.
Because they feel from statistics they feel more safe in funding men's businesses and startups. So these women are women that they face this discrimination, and when they became successful and they could be themselves VCs, they went and said, you know what, let's help women out there by doing that. Eventually, we need to not have these discriminations and the need to create these bodies.
Right.
But it's the same thing that we are discussing. In my business, the 90% we are women. And I was thinking, guys, we haven't balanced. This is not balanced. It's not right. I don't know. And I said, okay, where I had a specialist for that, and we had a discussion, and she asked me, do you bring in only women? I said, no. Actually, we actively want more men to come inside to balance things out, etc. And in the interviews, we have both, okay, because we have 50-50 almost, somewhere there, between men and women. So when they come in, because I'm not in the first interview, the people that they are interviewing, one is woman and one is man, always. Okay, so the people that they pass the first interview are only women. Very rarely I get to meet and pass the first phase a man, because for the same women have for example, if someone is 30 years old or has 5 years of experience, women have done more things than a man has done.
At that age?
Yes. And you will say it's a military, maybe, I don't know.
So you're speaking about Cyprus only? Cyprus. So it's only Cyprus. We have the 2 years.
It's not 2 years, it's 1 year.
It's become 1 year, correct.
Yeah.
It was 2 years, 10 years ago, whatever. Yeah.
It's not what they have. 1 year doesn't change much.
No.
It's that they are more qualified.
Because academically they do better.
I don't care about academic. One of my most senior people in the team, they
no qualifications.
No qualification.
And maybe your best employee.
Yeah, one of the best employees, and recently I asked, because we had to submit in Ariadne, and I said, okay, what's your high school qualification? I didn't finish my bachelor degree, and I was like, nice. Good for you. And I think in the future we're gonna see the other way around, no? But still doesn't change the biological factors that wait later on, because we have the first 10 years a good growth, 20 to 30s, and then when get married, have children, and you see a sudden drop when men, they have their biggest growth in between 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm. So because you mentioned before that you see the people that come through, and now we're talking about only Cyprus.
Yeah.
Men and women that come through to you for an interview, the majority, this generally pans out where women have done more, you've mentioned, in terms of what jobs that they've had, things that they've studied, or what have they done more, the women, than men?
Yeah. Okay. Let's say for a creative role, okay? A woman will come even though with a full portfolio. Will come even though it wasn't in their work environment, in her free time, she will be working on her portfolio.
While the man was playing Call of Duty.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And where she was trying to get more things, to get more responsibilities, to get more. She will come in the interview more prepared. She will be,
You know, I'll tell you how that is, now that we're discussing this, kind of makes sense that you mentioned. Women get serious about their profession or their professional career, let's call it, at an earlier age than what men and achieve more, quote unquote, in the younger age group compared to men. You mentioned women between 20 and 30 and men between 30 and 40. And if you look at children, so you mentioned you have two girls?
No, one boy 7 years old and one girl 1 year old.
All right, you're going to see the girl, if you can remember how your boy was, because my son and daughter are 2 years different. 2 years difference. Now you can tell. And actually my sisters, so I've got my one sister, she's got twins, boys, and my second sister, she has a daughter 2 months apart. It's incredible how the woman, the girl, just matures so quickly. Like her brain, right? They're faster, the girls, and also saw this with. Now they've grown older. So again, twins, boy and girl, who my wife is the godmother of. The growth, their mind and how they're speaking, they talk quicker. They are able to, just generally, you can tell that they mature. I don't know if mature is the right word, but their growth is a lot more quick, more rapid, faster than it is for men, and maybe that just continues. Even later in life, where women are more serious about their professional career. I don't know if it ties in.
I believe that men get more serious about their job when they get serious about their relationship. They need to provide, that we were talking before. So that starts around 30 years old.
Yeah.
So they get more serious when they
realize that things are serious now. There's a woman, there's a family that depend on me.
Yes. Or even when they get serious about their, not future, but their relationship. That's when they start to be more. But women, they come day one, junior or internship, whatever, they are serious. This is that serious. This is, they come to get the job.
Right.
They are not messing around.
No. Yeah.
And it actually comes from maybe it comes from the fact that at least in my generation, I'm 36 years old, okay? So we felt like men were more advanced than we were in terms of work. They were taken more seriously than women 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we had to pull out that serious figure, serious in everything that we were doing to be perceived as more serious.
Yeah. This is how tough times, right?
Sorry to interrupt, but also women get judged for their appearance, for how they talk, whereas a woman can be, if she, for example, a very, very, we were discussing for this, a very successful businesswoman. She was wearing a short skirt it was social media. It was something like it was in social media. I don't know if I want to say the channel, but she was wearing a short skirt. Very, very successful. She employs 15 people. The business makes millions, and they were judging her for her appearance, that she was wearing short skirt. By the way, she's only 30 years old. Okay, so she's supposed to wear whatever she wants. Okay, anyway, even if she was 50 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were judging her that people will not take her serious because she was wearing a short skirt. Where in earth would a man would be judged for wearing shorts at work? It's the cool guy, it's the cool CEO, it's the cool manager, it's the cool intern if he wears shorts.
That's interesting. Well, I think among that, there's also a lot of haters, right? They see a woman who's successful and whatever, and then they want to cling on to something that they want to judge on. So maybe the clothing isn't a target for the man, but they'll target that person on something else. I think, and this is not everybody, right? So there's also haters. There's haters out there.
Women in social media can get more hate comments than men. It's easier to objectify and judge a woman than a man. First of all, because women care, and if you judge a man, he will say,
move on.
Yes, he might not even care.
Yes.
But women will analyze it, will internalize it, etc. But usually the victims are women, and it's easier to judge a woman for her work attire, for her whatever. It's just easier. It's just more common. So we get to be more serious in order to balance things out and to not give ground for that.
Something that I keep telling my wife and daughter, and you don't need to wear makeup. You're beautiful the way you are. Don't wear makeup. It's okay. Men don't feel that need, right? And again, here things are changing, but I guess this ties into what you're saying, right? That feeling of being judged by your appearance is something that I guess is felt more by women than it is by men. Not that appearance is important for men as well, of course, but I guess that does have a toll for sure on and maybe a reluctance on getting out there. It is an additional
I never thought of that.
Pressure item for women, where again you just got to be you. It's okay. Doesn't matter what people say, what the judgment is. Be more like men in that sense.
Come on, the podcast is about women. I don't know if we need to think that be more of that in or if we could understand the women more. For example, there are different, I don't know if you know the colors of people. There is the yellow, then green, then blue, red. I think I'm not forgetting anyone. Yellow, green, red, and blue. Yeah, there are 4 colors of personalities.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and in BeePossible, we always say, okay, it's this color. You should understand better. I mean, she's yellow, so she's more emotional, so be more supportive. Or if you're gonna give feedback, you need to understand with which color of personality you're talking to.
And this is a global
thing?
Okay.
It's a global thing. So whenever someone new comes in, or we always discuss their color, and we make sure we tell him the color and the color of everyone else. So for example, I am red, and I will say then Nicole in my team, she's green, she's organized, everything with the program, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have then the yellow, that it's the emotional. So if you're gonna give feedback to yellows, you need to be supportive. I know that you put a lot of effort in this, and thank you. Maybe in the future, because this is how it will help you. So different wise. For the green, you need to say 1, 2, 3, 4. For the yellow, it's different. The blue, it's act on the moment. Usually creative people are more in blue. So.
And what is red? Did you describe?
Yeah, they told me that I am red.
And what is to describe red?
The red is leadership, authoritative, and actually that comes from more insecurities. So that's why they act in more
dominant.
Yeah. So and the colors of each one, we had it in a workshop, and we had a executive team coach to come in, make the training, discuss, understand the way that, for example, if I go in the office, I say, guys, this was wrong, and so if I say the same thing 3 times, it's not it will not be my best. And so we say, she's like that because she's red one, and blah, blah, blah. Or the green one, in order to understand, she needs, give her the points 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't make it complicated, don't put emotions inside, etc. So it's the same with men and women.
Right.
So women understand things differently,
yes.
and respond in things differently.
Yes.
And this is what makes them important in workforce, because there is empathy now.
Mm-hmm.
There is caring about it, creating a team bonding and a community that there was not if we had a business only with men. And on the other hand, we have the men that they are more structured, they are more how I will achieve more. So you need both words, but you need to understand each other in order to coexist and get the best from both worlds. So this is the same. I mean, with the colors, that it's an international thing. It's a global thing. That each of us has a color, so and responds and reacts differently in circumstances. So it's the same with men and women. They act differently, and each one brings different things on the table that they are valuable and important.
Understood.
Valuable.
And so, while for me or anyone's character, it would be not, it wouldn't play such an important toll on me in terms of my appearance, let's call it. But for someone else who's got the relevant color category character, as much as it makes sense to me, and I try and explain it, I don't know what color I am, but let's say whatever it is, and I try and explain it to somebody who's a different color to me, they won't ever get it. This is EQ, right? This is emotional intelligence, which is super important.
Yes.
It is super important in so many different things, and definitely in a way it's a sales, right? So when you're selling a product or service, if you're going to start off that call and just talk about everything that you think you're so great about, that's not the best approach. The approach is, tell me your problems and let me see if what I have to offer fits and it's valuable to you. Once you do that approach, once you go on the other person's side and really understand their problem and see, are you even fit? You don't have to try and force yourself. If there's no match, move on, right? That person, don't waste each other's time almost, in a sense, right?
Yes.
If that person has a problem that you cannot solve, help that person if you can and say, sorry that I'm not able to, that's not what we do, but I know this and this person. That'll come around, right, in some other way. But I've seen this, as rookies, right, when it comes to sales, when they come and when they start bloating, we are, and I've seen it done to me, like, we are the best, and we do this, and we do that, and they go on, and things that are not relevant to me, who I'm trying to, they're trying to pitch to me. It's not relevant to me, so you've lost me. And I try and apply that myself. And I think this is in all domains in life. Employee, spouse, child, your father, mother, whatever, to your child, understand the pain point. It makes so much sense. I didn't know about these categorizations and things which you just mentioned, which is super interesting, and I'm going to look into that. But that does make a lot of sense, and very, I think useful for the audience, for whatever it is that you're doing. It doesn't even need to be, you starting up your own business. It's everywhere. As I mentioned before. And so at BeePossible, we didn't discuss much about BeePossible, and we're already 1 hour, 1 hour and 20 minutes in.
Really?
Yes. Let's talk about BeePossible a little bit here, and then we do some closing comments. So BeePossible, you mentioned you do business consulting. You advise startups and also established businesses. You were telling me this before. If it's a startup, how to even start, what are the important metrics that you need to focus on, and what tasks you need to do, I guess, in the beginning to start off, and then for established businesses who need to expand, I guess, and grow. What is important, what consultancy that type of business would need at their journey in the business. So tell us a bit more about BeePossible. How do you approach this?
So BeePossible started as a business consulting strategy, and that you were mentioning now. But do you believe that startups and even established companies, they don't know what their value proposition is? What I'm doing unique? Why I even have this company? Why am I selling tomatoes? And the guy next to me sells also tomatoes. Why I'm going into the competition? So we help businesses find what's unique, and if they don't have unique, they have it deep in their heart, but they never made it to put it out there, to market it right, and create all the services and all the culture and all the environment based on that unique value proposition. Because if you have your unique value proposition, it's cheaper actually, and it costs less to market your business and make decisions. So we help them into finding their value proposition and creating and the expansion. Yes, of course, we do pricing policies with them. We find ways how to increase the revenues, etc. But the point is, how do I expand? Even if it means for now or in 3-5 years, and I need to plan for it, either in products, services, or geographical restriction. This is the first part of BeePossible, and this is the reason that it was founded. That was our base service. 1.5 years later, we brought the marketing in. So we're a 360 marketing agency, from the creatives, UI UX, ads, PR and communication, events, whatever, CGI videos, whatever, videography, photography, whatever that is. So we are a 360 marketing partner, which accept not only the line services, but we do marketing retainers. That I think we are one of the very few in Cyprus that they do that. And we have the marketing strategy plus the services that we think you need, email marketing, whatever that is. And we actually try to do things a bit differently. So this is what I was telling you before. For example, last week we did our last event as normal event. We communicated with the clients that we don't do normal events anymore. We do experiences. So it's not going to be the launch of a new store and just go there and have some cocktail party. It will need to be an experience. It will be something. It will need to be something fresh. Or, for example, for the ads, we have very, very good indicators for the ads. But what we say to the clients is, we need you to work with us. If I don't have your impact and you being active, I cannot deliver. It's not just me getting money for the services that we give. It's the result. So if you don't invest your time, your knowledge, even the people that they are in the stores, what the salesman is saying. We have meetings with, as a marketing agency, we have meetings with the sales team in the stores. What do they say? What people say? Because the manager or the C executives that we are usually speaking with, they don't have the energy, the feedback from the client. So what's the feedback? What's the baseline? Let's get to there. It's not just having ads out there. So, yeah, we try to make the question, how can I help? How can I help more?
Right.
What is missing? What do you need? And maybe sometimes what do you need as a business is not what the client needs. So we need to understand that and not get whatever the manager or the marketing manager says, but we need to communicate that, you know what, your client doesn't need that. Your client needs that. And yeah.
You know, oftentimes when people are in the business and they're tied into the day-to-day, it's especially, you know, if you're a small to medium-sized business, I guess this applies to any operation, any size. You may lose that goal, right? You know, so, and then you get lost in your day-to-day process and heading. You could be heading down the wrong path, and you need these fresh eyes to help you.
Yes.
You know, and just the most basic thing might be overlooked because you didn't think of it, because you're down this rabbit hole of the wrong direction.
Yes.
So something as simple as, and just from what you said, right? Something as simple as, if you've got a business, and let's say you've got these different departments, you've got whatever product, right? And you've got your customer support, right, who are speaking to your customers on a daily basis. And let's say that customer support is focused purely on resolving complaints or answering to questions on where their order is along the delivery process, whatever. They are in the exact right position to get the feedback from the audience that matters on what they could improve on in their business, and they're not focused because they haven't been put in, they're not strategized to do that. They haven't been put in the position or given that incentive, extract that information so we know how to position ourselves, because they're just doing business as usual. You know, basic example, we sell clothing, right? Let's say we sell women's jackets, right? And all they're focused on is making sure that those jackets are delivered on time. I'm just thinking out loud over here on an example. Maybe I can do a better job of thinking of a better example, but let's just work with this one, right? We're delivering jackets, and they're focused on just delivering those jackets perfectly. But what they don't realize, and maybe if they just adjust their daily process a little bit by asking one simple question, what else would you like accompanied with a jacket? Or, is there anything that we could do to improve our service, or whatever that question is that gives them the insight, and maybe they realize, we could be better off dumping the jackets because there's a massive demand around polo neck instead of the jackets. Very basic example. It's just that insight. So those fresh eyes, and where you come in and you give small little tips that here's the other thing. When you work with multiple businesses, you see what generally can work and how you can how you can adjust any small business to get more out of what you've already got going.
For example, the retail, I don't have one. I have 10.
Yes.
So either we have tested some things out and I know what's working, and I know what in the industry now. So I don't. But yes, what you said. If usually when in our business, even my business, sometimes we go into the day-to-day things. So think of that as a map, okay? And this is our business. If I'm doing the day-to-day, I'm only seeing this, where my business is that. So I'm doing my responsibilities, my things, and this is it.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm working at 10,000 feet, I'm here. I don't see that.
Yes.
Okay, so not only us as business owners, but the accounting needs to know what the sales is doing and how they can support each other, or the sales need to communicate not only with the marketing, but with the COOs, with the accounting, with the pricing, whatever that is. So all of us, we need to have the opportunity to go and see everything so we can support each other better. But business owners need to take themselves out there and be put in a place where they can see everything. And then this is the map of our business. And imagine that we have thousands of these maps, and then we have people that they see the whole industry.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many examples that I cannot think of the top of my head. But if you do just maybe a general search, I'm trying to think of examples. I'm trying to remember some examples. Yeah, maybe I'll get them wrong. But for example, like I think Bosch and Lomb Bosch and Lomb. What are they? They're washing machines. Oh,
yeah.
Right?
Yes, Bosch.
Different business before. BMW.
Ah, yeah.
So like for example, BMW. They were doing airplane propeller engines, whatever, before they shifted. I don't know if that was a pickup from market trends or whatever, but so many businesses that exist. There's many examples of these that I cannot remember off the top of my head, but started out focusing on a completely different business and changed. Tesla is a good example, right? So Tesla still are electric vehicles. They still are, and electric vehicles, that's a focus. But I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk did not have, in 2008, even a remote vision that there could be a leading AI business and automation, which is a whole other business, right? And staying vigilant, always thinking out of the box, I think is not important only to get a bigger land grab or not miss on opportunities, but in many cases even survive. You could be offering a product or service to an industry that might not exist, and if you don't have that, let me step out of my zone a little bit, or if you don't get the consultancy from businesses like BeePossible to help you find that potential risk even, or maybe it's not a risk, but use your current business as an opportunity to get a bigger land grab of another sector you weren't even focusing on. That could even double your business, right? I think is good advice for any, business operators or startup, not startup. I guess this is ongoing business operators, right? That makes a lot of sense.
Yes, and to not be afraid to pivot when it's needed.
Yeah.
And usually we get that. I mean, this is what I do, this is what I know, and this is it.
Yeah, no, you can't be stuck in that.
Yeah, and we see that many family businesses, they have this attitude, this way of thinking, and it's a shame because they are successful now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's shame to see that what's coming, and them not understand how they should change. Do you know how many people we get this phrase? We are very sentimental about our logo. It's a logo. It's a logo. It's a graph. It's a design. It's how. If it was created 50 years ago, and change, it's not. It's okay
to change. Yeah.
You are not married to your logo. You need to have something that people can relate to it, and we like it actually, because we, as we said before, we criticize many things from their appearance, how they look, how they feel, how. So your logo, if I see a logo, I can understand when the business was created and what they stand for.
Right.
If it's more on Actually, if they have empathy, if they are in which industry they might be. So if it was 50 years ago and I was in construction, let's say, I had to be strong, solid, blah, blah, blah. And now we see some construction business have some different logos, more approachable. It's not all full capital bold logos. It's not anyway. I had a certain example, but yes, don't be so attached to things of actually they don't make your business. Your business is made up from your people, from the team, and maybe that is not what you show out there.
Sure. And also at the end of the day is the target market is what defines, is what, generally speaking, a business exists to solve a problem. Is that problem relevant? And that's a good way to define if your business is relevant, right? Or has that problem been solved in another way that you don't know? Is it going towards the direction of getting solved?
Exactly. Or is this the way that this problem needs to be solved, or is it something that you were doing? For example, we had I had a call before, and before coming in the podcast, and they told me, this is how we do it. And I told them, I don't care what you are doing. I don't care. I care how to deliver the best possible solution for my client. If you are doing this for the last 10 years, I don't care.
Yes.
If there is a better way to do it,
yes, then we need to change.
Let's use it.
Yes.
At the end of the day, is how to serve the client, how to support them.
Right.
And not just the client, our team also. And in that, I have a rule that I always say, I can afford to lose a client, but I cannot afford to lose a team member because of a client.
Right.
And this is usually a woman's thing.
I apply that too.
Yeah, nice. This is because actually, you know how much does it cost in Cyprus to change to replace an employee? 20,000 euros.
Yeah, I've not looked into the statistics, but for me, it's just more in a moral or ethical, or just generally, if we are here to serve a client, a certain industry. Every client obviously has their needs and their priorities. It doesn't necessarily mean that their priorities are our priorities, and especially if those priorities are going to change the focus of our business and what we initially targeted to solve. And if there's going to be a client that's going to enforce it and say, it's either this or we know we can't, then we're not compatible, then it's okay. But also there's pulling from both ends, right? I need to understand, what are you as a client telling me that I need to change so much? What is that exactly? Explain it to me. If you understand it properly and say, okay, I understand it fully, does that align with my business model? And does it make sense that I make an adjustment to accommodate that? Or is it not aligned? That's not aligned to my business model, and my business model is serving this segment of the market. And while I respect this outlying client, it doesn't make sense for me as a business to change it. I think it's important, and then that also applies to how they are to my team members, because my team members, that's the business, right? The business is the team. And so and I'm not even talking about when there are clients that are rude or, speak, that
yes.
I'm willing to tell the customer to walk, go away. You speak as we speak to you with respect. You got to speak with us. The saying when they say client is always right. Yes, the client's always right, but it's got to make sense to your business model, and the client may not always be right. The client is always right with regard to topics and remarks or questions that align with what we're there to solve. Right, that's where, but doesn't mean that they're right about everything. No,
it depends from the service or product that you are selling, for example, there are more flat products that you, for example, in the B2C, okay, in a shop,
Yeah.
or in a restaurant, it's more likely that you can say, you know, the client is right. I had a day shop, I was dealing with these things, and I was always having in my mind, the client is always right. Let's try to accommodate even the weirdest and the more impatient client, okay, in the B2C, because I want this, I know what I want this blazer, okay, and I want it to be delivered. So there are few things that if he wants this, it's flat. I no alterations. This is it. And just need to be polite to make an experience when they receive it and make a fast shipping. That's it. But if we're talking for services, for example, myself, I don't always agree with the client. I say that. For example, the we are proposing for logo. We give five different logos, and they choose one, and I say, you know what, maybe this is not the best approach because of this or this or that. And or for example, a client might say, I want this for in my marketing campaign, this marketing campaign. I say, you know what, I don't believe this is the best approach, because this is not blah 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 1 2 3 4 5. So it's not flat. In services, it's not flat, and they hire you for your expertise.
Yes.
So if you want me to be a yes man, so you don't vouch for my expertise. So why do you pay premium?
What you got me for? Yeah.
Yeah. So and this is something I always say. I'm not gonna be the yes man here. I'm gonna be the honest. I will tell you this is good, this is bad, can be different. We can differentiate that. Your client doesn't need that, or your team.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the client in services he hires you because they need help. So how can we help them?
Right. Good. Electra, thank you very much for your time. Oh my, it's almost 2 hours. Yeah, good.
I don't know if we tackled the women I think I did make a good job representing to advocate more for women, but I think it's not by what you said before. It's not discriminating, but just being who you are, and to not discriminate everything else in the point to make a stand for it.
Yeah, I think you've put up some good fruitful thought. There's a lot of valid points. I think you represented women just fine. There's a lot of valid points over here that were said. I enjoyed this talk, and again, I want to thank you for your time.
Thanks so much for inviting.
And good. Happy Women's Day.
Thank you.